Winter, an improvised mystery by Shorty. Let's see where this audio takes us. Veronica. I slammed the door and leant up against it, my back pressed hard into the wood. I glared as I looked around the room, at each and every item, into every corner, taking it all in. How dare she? How dare she invade my mother's sanctuary? I took a few steps and flopped onto the bed, stretching out my arms and fingers and grabbing at the covers, claiming it as my own. The crimson fabric grew dark as it soaked up my tears. Tears of anger and frustration and loss and complete emptiness. I had no compass, no rock, no direction, no purpose. I lay there for some time, scrunched up, my face and my fists. I wallowed in self-pity, my face red and blotchy, snotty, and wet with tears. But, as usual, after a while, I righted myself, wiped my nose, and took a deep breath. I sat on the edge of the bed and surveyed the room. Why did I keep it like this? All dusty and dead and still. I got up and flung open the wardrobe, looking at the dresses, the shoes, the skirts, the wonderful silk scarves, and the robes. My fingers reached for a wonderful turquoise kimono. I pulled it off the hanger and laid it on the bed with great reverence. It was, as with all mother's things, exquisite. Jade and blue peacocks fanned their feathers on a turquoise background of silk. The peacocks were embroidered with great care, and each eye had a turquoise sequin in its centre. I marvelled at the workmanship. These things were not only made to wear, but to feel. They were so tactile. I couldn't help but run my fingers over the stitches. I claimed this. I claimed this kimono for myself. Mine. All mine. I mused. I wondered what it would look like on me. If I would look as fine as Mother. If only I had her strength. And oh so selfish nature. I turned and dipped my head so I could see myself in the mirror. I was so like her. I knew I was beautiful. I just didn't wear it well. I left the kimono on the bed and went into Mother's ensuite. She didn't have a shower, but she did have a beautiful claw-foot tub. Without knowing what I was doing, I popped the plug in and started running the taps. The old pipes, as usual, clanked and whined and screamed. I was used to their complaining. I surveyed the myriad of bottles running along the side of the bathtub. Of course, these too were exquisite, hand-blown glass probably. I remember it was always such a treat to visit Mother when she was in her bathtub. Usually she had a champagne glass in her hand, and the private phone she had, the longest extension cord I had ever seen. She'd pull it from the bedroom and pop it on a stool by the bath, where she'd converse with friends probably. I don't know. But I remember the bubbles. They were almost sky high, as if she was trying to hide herself in them. But when she was in a good mood, she'd let me scoop some up and clap them in my hands, so small bubbles and pieces floated off. But this was when I was small. Sometimes she'd put some bubbles on my face like a beard and said I looked like Santa. I hung on to these memories I kept them safe. Because I knew she loved me. Deep, deep down. I eeny meeny miny mowed one of the glass bottles and ended up with the lovely green one. Pulled the stopper and sniffed it. Smelled it wonderful. Maybe jasmine? I poured some of the liquid in the bath and bubbles immediately started to form. I felt dangerous, decadent. I'd broken the seal of this tomb, in a way. Broken the spell, even. After all, they're just things. I swirled the bathwater with my hand and added a little more. Damn, I was daring. The bath was almost full, so I slipped out of my things, leaving them in a pile on the floor, and stepped into Mother's bath. The water was perfect as I sunk down into it. Not too hot. The warmth enveloped me, feeling oh so comforting and relaxing on my neck. I breathed for a moment, breathed and exhaled. The bubbles made a funny crackling sound as the water rose over my shoulders and the bubbles got close to my ears. I had to stretch out my toes to reach the other end, or I'd slip under the water. I could just see my toes peeking above the bubbles. The bath was about full enough now, and the taps squeaked as I turned them off. I moved the water around me. The bubbles had made the water kind of slippery, and I liked that feeling next to my skin. And finally, this view I'd never had before, laying in the bath. The view that Mother had, I guess. The phone wasn't by my side, but I reached my arm out, just to get the feel of, I don't know, where it would have been, and imagine myself picking up the telephone to a secret lover, maybe, to arrange some sordid and secret assignation. And I did wonder what it was like for her, being so beautiful, and being saddled with 2 children. She wasn't really mother material. I knew that. But she tried in her way. I'm sure she did. I sunk further down into the water and put my head under, holding my breath. Everything sounded strange underwater. This house was never quiet. Everything creaked and moaned. Pipes rattled and clanged. Branches tapped on windows. Whispers always heard. I sat up quick, gasping, soap out of my eyes, and almost screamed as a towel was forced into my face. "Here. Sorry, did I scare you?" you said. I quickly cleared my eyes of soap and pulled the towel to my chest, looking down at the bubbles, making sure there were plenty of them. "What the hell?" "I did knock. I could have sworn you said come in." "Well, I didn't." I gathered the bubbles around me. "You know, you look quite stunning in that bathtub." I knew I didn't. I probably looked like a soapy drowned rat. And why was I worried about what I looked like? This is crazy. Look, Max, you do know this is a bathroom? Yes, I do, he said. Well, in polite society, it's not... You held up a hand. My bad, I'll leave. I sat, open-mouthed, as he left the room. I listened, but I didn't hear the bedroom door open or close. So, were you still in the bedroom, waiting for me? Well, my darlings, I hope you liked that little tale. And if you think you'd like me to get my tongue around something a little more spicy, why not join my Patreon? Talking of Patreon, here they are. Shenanigans, Billy, Roxy, Oz, Living Lightning, Pokemon UB, David, Adam Strikers, Nikki Phantom, Pillowy Slave, Danny D, Glutinous Maximus, SV852, Mordred, Stephen, Campaign for a Better Weekend, Fire, Outsider HP, Giova Lucky, B, Ted, Jelly Mage, Aaron, Cryptid, Kenzie M, Cubby, Tony Darko, Tamwin, DZ, Nazgul Cookie, and Epsilon. Thanks, guys and girls. I love you.